Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Let's talk. So the developers have somewhat made a much more flexible approach-based statement about how they're going to approach the season characters. There are no conclusions yet that we can go with. I mean, if you go ahead and look at their statement, it just basically says that they're going ahead and reevaluating how they want to progress with the characters themselves, and looking at how they're going to basically be able to work it out with everybody so that they can at least have people, in my opinion anyways, approach the game from the perspective that they choose. I do have something that I wanted to point out. I've seen some people say things about they're trying to appeal to everyone, end up not appealing to anyone and all that stuff. But here's the deal though. This is more of a matter of a core gameplay mechanic that is in the game. That is your main character. This is where all your efforts, all your playtime, all your farming has taken place, depending on how long you've played this game, 2019 or however long. And for the developers to come in and say, well, the main thing that actually has made you play the game, your personal character progression, we're going to go ahead and strip it from you and expect people to not have a reaction of some kind, to me is asinine. I mean, think about it, because exactly what they're trying to do with the seasons, they've actually allowed you to do with your characters in the past. So it's okay for people to have responded the way that they did. This is not like, even for someone like me who was for the season characters, I was like, yeah, I would love to see them, in action. I was quite shocked that people were criticizing, or at least maybe saying some things about those who were not for it, and the developers basically taking this approach. I strongly believe that we need to basically understand that this was a very, very interesting, in my opinion, change that the developers were trying to take. And the response was very well, they should have been expected. I wouldn't even say warranted. I should say it should have been expected. Because the division does not function like that, has never functioned like that. And a lot of people were, in my opinion, sensible about how they were approaching things. I sat here and I read comments. Some people said, well, why don't they just give us the option? If we want to use seasonal characters, sure. If they want people to have, some access to all of the weapons and whatever it is, then, that's fine too. But the options were nice. And what's funny is when I see people saying, oh, if you try to appeal to everybody, you appeal to no one. That same argument could have been used against the seasonal characters, and it was used, against the seasonal characters as well. So let's try our best to try, to be measured and understand what people are saying and categorize their arguments in the context that it is. This video, however, is not a critique of all of that. I just wanted to point that out, that I saw that and I was like, well, this is not a big deal. If the developers decide they're not going to go with the seasonal characters, it's not really going to change anything. If they decided they want to go to seasonal characters, it is going to change a lot, seeing that a lot of people are not going to invest oil. A lot of people have said that they're not going to invest any time in the game. However, if you provide the option, then that gives everybody the direction and the path that they wish to take in approaching the seasonal characters, of which we don't know what option or what direction the developers are going to take. So again, keep in mind, this might not still make everybody happy. However, what I wanted to go ahead and kind of measure today is, how do you assess the developer's stance, or at least the response from the developers to saying, okay, we're listening to this, scenario and this situation, and we want to come in and we want to just, acknowledge that we've heard what the community is saying, and we're reassessing it, and we're going to basically, draw some conclusion later down the road. How do you weigh this? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you how I weigh this. I weigh this from the perspective of the commercial viability of the Division game and the Division franchise as a whole. If you think about it, Division 3 is in the making. I mean, to me, this said more to me about the Division 3 than anything else. It's a very important body of work right now that the gaming industry is a very volatile place. I don't necessarily think the developers could have afforded to do anything that, to be honest, is antithetical to their game design, which they've done some of those things and they've tested them out, experimentally, and sometimes they've been able to get away with it, especially when things were great. Warlords of New York brought them a lot of money and all that stuff, but the wind has changed. So in order for them to be able to proceed now at this end game phase to their next game and carry at least a happy fan base who will be willing to open their wallets for them, they really got to tread carefully. I said this in my other videos. Some of you may have wanted the seasonal characters, and I still think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it in some way. But now is not the time to isolate your player base. It's not a healthy direction to go at all. Like, you're not going to really like the outcome if you actually mess around in this way. And I think the developers are looking and assessing that because, you know, if you watch the videos, if you read the comments, and around the time they made the announcement, there were all kinds of videos that were made. There were thousands of people who saw these videos and also probably thousands more who commented. And if they've been paying attention to their social media, you know, I don't know, outlets or whatever it is that they're able to basically see feedback from, you could already tell that this was basically a big deal. And honestly, they've made some real ballsy moves too that they've stuck with, you know, in the past. But again, I'm looking at this from the perspective that the commercial viability is a big deal. And if they do not take their time, if they go ahead and make these kinds of moves, it's not necessarily going to, you know, in my opinion anyways, it's not going to pan out well for their next game because people are going to look at the game and say, man, why should we bother? This game is a waste of time, right? That's one of the biggest challenges that the division has always faced, is being able to reward the player very well for the time that they spend in engaging in the game. But these are my thoughts and these are my opinions. I mean, one way or the other, we're going to see how things pan out. I'm curious to see how the community will respond when they make their conclusions. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time. Peace out.